Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this session. My name is Adrianne Stevens and I'm the Education Coordinator at the Canadian Cochrane Network and Centre. This is your introduction to RevMan 5, Part 1. Thanks for joining us. We have folks from across the country here today actually, and our Cochrane IMS persons from overseas, so welcome to everyone. If you're having a great day, why don't you send me a smile on the emoticon board. A happy face. All right, I get one happy face, got another couple. It's a nice thing about this Illuminate interface is you can be interactive, and so I'm going to have that as part of our session today. I do want to take the time to acknowledge the funders of the Canadian Cochrane Network and Centre, the Canadian Institute for Health Research, and 6 of the sub-institutes. So thank you to them for funding us during this funding period. I also want to thank the Pan American Health Organization. That's the Americas Regional Office of the WHO, their Research and Promotion and Development Department for providing the Illuminate software to us. They are a valued partner of the Canadian Cochrane Network and Centre. So just to go over briefly what the format of the webinar will be, I'm going to break it up in multiple sections, and at that time I will take questions in between, so you can raise your hand or you can send them to the chat room to me if you wish. It looks as though on the chat room that you can't send it to anyone, but it's actually defaulted to the moderator, so I will receive it when you send it through. And we will do sort of a walkie-talkie format where it'll be one audio activated at a time. So I do want to remind you that make sure that you activate your audio just before speaking. Allow yourself a second when you're done, when you're deactivating, because it takes a second for it to go through the server to allow the next person to speak. And this summer I am doing the RevMan 5 webinars, and we're making plans for other webinars that we will advertise late summer, early fall. So stay tuned. So today I'm going to give you an introduction to RevMan 5, show you how it interacts with Archie, look at some new features of RevMan 5, and then look at the studies and references portion of it. So let's continue on with the interactive abilities of Illuminate, and let's take a poll. For how many of you is this your first webinar? I'll just give everyone a second to put their answers in. You'll notice that your answer will not appear on the board, but when you make your selection will remain depressed, so you know what it is. Okay, and how about I'll just publish the stats to the board. And here we are. So we have about 30% of people who haven't been, and in fact, this is my first webinar ever, and I get to lead it. So, but I'm enjoying this Illuminate interface, testing it out, and I hope you do as well. Let's also take a look at the whiteboard before we move on to the RevMan 5 part. As you can see from the diagram on the whiteboard, there is a laser pointer. And so for this next part, if you could just use your laser pointer, as you can see it's shown on the board. And why don't we, if you had your dream destination for a Cochrane colloquium, where would it be? Maybe it's a place that the colloquium's already been in. Maybe it's a completely different place. I see a warm destination appearing already on the screen. Where else? Oh, look at those places. Lovely. Lovely. Excellent. Well, since everyone's from Canada, oh, there's another place, one appearing in Canada. How nice. How nice. Well, for myself, if I was to have a dream destination, I'd want to have it near Cape Canaveral. You could watch a launch go off, and you could talk about meta-regression. I mean, life just doesn't get any better than that. Okay, so let's move on. So today I'm going to talk about the software, and I just want to sort of overview a few things about RevMan. It is the software for creating Cochrane reviews, and that's everything from your protocol through the updating stage. Support for new review types, so whether it's a diagnostic review, an overviews review, or a methodology review. This version has updates to existing review types, so if it's new methods, so the risk of bias tool is an example of that. Formatting changes to the review itself, that's been incorporated. And you can use it whether you're on a Macintosh, Linux, or Windows. You can use RevMan 5, and it is quite user-friendly. It operates very much like a Word document. I really like the new improved features of it, which is great. This next slide gives you an overview of the new review features, and most of these I will be addressing either today or in session 2. I do want to bring to your attention the Cochrane IMS page. It's a great place to go if you have some questions or you're not quite sure if you need to download. You can access there the What's New section, so any changes with RevMan 5. Please go to the Frequently Asked Questions page. They're great at posting up information there, so you may, if you have a question, it may be answered there. And so that's the RevMan part of the web page. So that's here. And then on the next page, I just show the Archie tab. So if you have any questions about Archie, there's information for editors and for authors. You can go there as well. Okay, so I just wanted to give you an overview of Archie. And historically it's been the place where they've put sort of the contact information of people who are associated with review groups and centers and that kind of thing. And they've now expanded it to be able to use the documents for publishing to the Cochrane Library. That's where all your draft reviews are stored. If you're finished your review and it's ready for the editorial phase, that's where it's put. So everything operates through Archie. So authors, you will need an Archie user account, so talk to your managing editor in your review group. And I can't stress enough that you don't access through the Archie website but through RevMan 5, and I will demonstrate that for you in just a moment. And as well, editors and referees, you will need accounts as well to be able to comment on reviews. So don't go here to download your review. If you wanna work on it, you use your RevMan 5 interface. Okay, and this gives a slide that shows you more or less sort of the relationship of RevMan 5 and Archie. So the CRG creates the review from a template, and it's really important to note that you cannot yourself create a review file. It has to be your managing editor who creates it. There's certain things that they need to do, and they will upload it into the Archie interface. And then you can access through RevMan 5 afterwards. So as shown here, you can, the CRG then gives you your user account if you don't have one already, and your review is stored in Archie. Okay? You then check it out through RevMan 5. You work on it, and then really important, check it back in to back into Archie through RevMan 5. They really want Archie to be the repository of the draft at any stage, that kind of thing. It protects against different versions you have on your computer. If you need someone else to access it at any time, they can just go to RevMan through RevMan 5 to Archie and pull it down. So that's a really, really important feature to know. Before your managing editor can create the review file, you need to make sure that your contact details in Archie are up to date. Your managing editor adds the author list and the contact person for the review, but obviously changes can be made if needed sort of along the review process. The managing editor as well, they also need to match up the affiliations among authors. As it stands right now, you can have one affiliation per author, but in the wish list for RevMan 6, they're going to address creating up multiple affiliations. So do know it's on their list. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to demo a check-in and check-out from RevMan. So if you will give me just one moment, I'm going to upload my RevMan. And then I'm going to do what's called a file sharing, an application sharing, sorry. Okay. I'll just take a minute for it to show. Okay, so let's just pause here for a moment. Does everyone see RevMan 5? Can you show me a happy face in the window? Okay, some people are seeing it. I do get some indicators, just so you know, from Illuminate that if there's a bit of an audio delay, so they sort of flag that for me. So if I pause here and there, it's just me making sure that the audio and everything that's transmitted is set up. Okay, excellent. So, so what you're seeing is the RevMan 5 screen, and automatically whenever you open RevMan 5, this is what you see. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to click nothing for now, and I'm going to show you how to check your connection. So if you go to Tools and then Preferences, over the far right tab is your connection. Now for me, I have access to the training server, which is there for folks who train within Cochrane. And so what I've done is I've just indicated, I've put in my username for Archie, my password's there, and then I've selected this save username and password when RevMan's closed. And then that way, whenever I want to check in or check out, it's automatically saved. And just so you know as well, I've created a PDF version of all my slides for today's presentation, and I will forward those to you either at the end of the session or just afterwards. So don't worry about taking too many notes at this point. You can refer to my slides thereafter. Okay, so that's that. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a checkout for you. You can either go to this quick click icon for checkout, or you can go File and Checkout. Okay, so this is the training server, and just for reference, your server would be archie.cochrane.org, just without the training part, but that's in the slide presentation. So what you see here are all the reviews that I have access to that I've been given permissions to download. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose one, and what you do is you just select. You can't double click, so you just do a single selection, and then you click OK. Before I do that, I want to show you over here to the bottom left, it says download a copy of the review without locking it for others. So that is a possibility if you just want to download a copy, but note that by doing that you can't make changes and check it back in. The idea is for you to actually make changes, update your review, do some more work on it, then you need to do an actual checkout. So this is what I will be doing. So I've selected it, and I will hit OK, and then it prompts you, do you want to confirm? And it says yes, and then it should appear in just a moment. Okay, great. So can everyone see this now? Is it uploading properly? Do we have a smiley face? Okay, great. So yeah, so this is me. I've just checked out a review. And just for demonstration purposes, what I'm going to do is let's look at the server now that I've checked it out. So I'm going to click Checkout again. Okay, and what you will see on this screen is it says checked out by you. So that way it's locked for editing. No one else can access it at this time. Great version control that the IMS has set up, and then that way you know there's only one active copy being worked on, and then it can be checked back in. So I'm just going to select cancel for this. So the idea is you work on your review for a while, and as you're working, I believe in RevMan 5 there is an automatic sort of save temporary files. I think it's set for every 10 minutes. So as you're working on it, you know, it'll probably automatically create backups as you're working on it on your computer, but you don't want to actually save it. Once you're done your session of editing, you do want to check it back in. So let's go to the File, Check In. Okay, and at this point, just so you know, whenever you check a review back into the server, a new version is created. So it keeps track of sort of the history of the ins and outs, and you can add some sort of version description if you want for your own reference. So I'm going to put today's date as mine. So I've just hit that as my version description. If you are just checking in a draft, all you have to do is click Finish. If you're ready for the next stage, I'll just show you that. You're ready for Submit for editorial approval, then you can check that out, check that box, sorry, and then proceed. But I'm not going to do that. And then this is your tasks to sort of check to make sure that you've confirmed what you've done. And I won't go through this in detail, but just know that they're there. And now I will click Finish. Okay, and then we should see it check back in. Okay, so it says check-in completed, and I'm just going to go back to the server, and there it is. So you can see my date there on the right-hand side. Okay, so how's everybody doing so far? We have some happy faces on the go. Great. Okay, are there any questions at this point? Oh, thank you. Thank you for the hand clap. If you have any questions, you can just put up your hand or you can send them through the chat board. Okay, all right, so let's move on then. Let's look at a review file. So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to open one up from on my desktop. And I'm just going to open up a protocol to start with. And I just want to show you the few features that sort of identify as a protocol versus a review. One is the symbol up in the left. You can see it's a light blue P, and the review is a dark blue R. So it's sort of a quick indication. And I'm just going to expand these out a little bit. I know not all of them appear at the bottom for you, so I will just do them in sections. Basically, all the information that you need to put on in your protocol is shown. You can see all the headings are shown in black. Any items like the abstract, obviously, because you don't have your results, the results in this discussion, those are not filled out for your protocol. So it's a great reference way of looking at everything. So that's sort of the main text part. Down the tables, again, you may have additional tables, but you won't have summary findings or characteristics of studies because you haven't gotten to the part of executing your search and making your selections. Okay, so it's just sort of a quick indication. So, and just to briefly show you the interface, the left-hand side is your outline view, and as you saw, I sort of expanded and collapsed the different parts of the reviewer protocol. And the right-hand side, this is so nice. It's one scroll down, and everything in your document is here. This is great. Very nice feature of RevMan 5. So I will close this down, and I will open up the actual review that we will be looking at. Okay, so just to go through the first part of this, as you can see under the review information, you have your author listing. So again, your managing editor will set all that up. I just created this as a blank file to work with for training purposes. It does give you a citation example for what your review will look like as a preview. And you can also, as you're setting up your file, determine who your contact person is going to be. It will usually be an author, but it doesn't have to be. It could be the managing editor, for example. So all of this information, the information is sort of all pulled from Archie. So if there's a change to your contact details for some reason, then the next time you check out your file from Archie, all the changes will appear in the updated version. Okay. The next section that we're going to look at, and maybe I should just pause here for a moment. What you may need to do is this pane that has the Review Manager 5, I think at the part at the top it says application sharing. What you can do is you can just sort of move that around, and you can pull out the sides to widen it a little bit. I can give you a minute to do that so you can see everything that I'm working with. Now when you do it, you should see on the right-hand side my scroll bar column. So how about if I just pause here for a minute, and when everything is set up so you can see everything in RevMan 5, it's more the width I'm concerned about, and I will scroll up and down if you need to see something down below. Can I get a happy face from you if everything's looking okay from your end? Okay, excellent. Okay, great. So the next section that we're going to talk about here is the dates and the updates. And they've changed sort of the way that they're doing this. There is a new scheme, sort of update and amendment. I'm not going to go into the details on what each of those mean. I just sort of want to show you sort of how that works in RevMan 5, you can refer to Chapter 3 and 4, and they sort of address this. So to start out with the first part, there's the assessed as up to date, and this is done for only reviews, not protocols. It is entered by authors, and this date will often coincide with the date on which the authors submit for consideration for publication in the Cochrane database of systematic reviews. So as a quick demo, all you need to do is you just open up the calendar and you can select your date, and it will be inputted. So how about if I do that? I'll just select 31st, and there you go. The date of search, again, is for reviews only. It's not published on the Cochrane database of systematic reviews. And if you have different searching dates among the databases, then you can go with that. That's the earliest, not the most recent. And again, you just use that pop-up calendar. The next stage expected. For protocols, you indicate when you think your full review will be expected. For reviews, it's for your update date, and this also is not published on the Cochrane database of systematic reviews. The next three fields, so the protocol first published, review first published, and last citation issue, those are automatically generated in Archie. And the last citation issue, that's the issue that the current version was first published. So next time if you've finished a protocol, it's been published on the Cochrane library, and then you go to actually work on the review, the next time you check it out, then that date should appear, for example. So that just sort of gives you a sense. The next section that we're going to look at is the what's new. And this is based on events. It's done for protocols and reviews, and you need at least one event at your next update or amendment. And the idea behind this is that readers can quickly and clearly identify what has changed. And again, refer to Chapter 3, and you can see if your review group has a specific policy on what they want done here. But I'm just going to do a quick demo on this. So I'm going to add the event, and the event that I'm going to choose is new citation conclusions not changed. So you have your, sorry, I went a little quick there. So that's your drop-down menu of items that you can choose, and you can have more than one if more than one pertains. You click next, and then you add your description. So I'm going to add my boss as a co-author. Very kindly agreed to be a co-author, so I'm going to put him in. I select next, and then today's date automatically pops up. So I'll just hit finish. And here we are. We see the event. On the left-hand side, I'm just going to explode, and we can see it here in the outline pane. Okay. The history part, you use the history for if the events in the what's new, if they no longer pertain, then what you do is you just move it down. And I'll show you that. So I've selected on the left-hand side, I'll right-click, and it says move to history. So I move it to history, and there it appears. Okay. So that's it for the review information part of this section. The next part I'm going to look at is the main text. And at this point, I'll just sort of talk about the new editing features in RevMan 5. As I mentioned, it's document-based, so it's very much like a Word document. What you see is what you get, and I think that's much more improved over RevMan 4. So thank you, IMS. It has an improved text editor, lots more formatting options. You can see the icons at the top if you want the quick link icons. I'm just going to select within the text. Let me just scroll down. So if I select, oops, I'll just delete that. If I select in the text here, description of the condition, then you can see all of these icons appear at the top. Okay. But I do remind you to refer to your Cochrane style guide to make sure that the formatting and the things that you do are in line with what they need for it to be published. They have a track changes and notes, so we'll demo that in a minute. They have an undo system, which is great. You can undo lots of things. They have real-time spell checking and validation. So at the top, the ABC with the check that's selected, that's the spelling as you type. The OK is your validation, and I'll talk about validation in part 2. And your track change is there as well. So those are really nice features, and other functions include, your improved ability to copy and move and renumber, that kind of thing. So it's actually quite nice to look at. What I will do is I'll show you a little bit in the outline pane, just the new headings. So you have fixed headings like your background. The ones, description of the condition, the ones with that green check, those are the recommended subheadings. If you've had your review converted from RevMan 4 to RevMan 5 and you didn't use these headings, then what you might see is it was actually deactivated. So your managing editor or whoever was converting it for you probably selected this deactivated heading section, and now it appears as a light gray without the check mark. So I'm just going to reactivate that heading. Okay, so these are your recommended subheadings. In addition, there are suggested optional headings that you can use, or you can create some user-defined headings. So, and you just go under Format and, just go under Format and Style to do that. You can see them listed out here. And you can refer to the handbook as well for guidance, and your review group as well. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just demo this track changes feature. So I'm under the description of the condition. I'm going to just select the track changes. And is there someone out there who would like to work on this with me? Anyone out there? Put a smiley face if you'd like to work on this demo with me. What I do is I give you permissions to be able to type in the space. Anyone out there? Okay, so I will demo this for you then. I will just add in some text. Oops. Okay, so I'm just going to put a brief sentence here. Osteoarthritis is a common problem that affects productivity and quality of life. So all I'm going to do is just activate the track changes at the top there. I'm going to change this to condition. Okay, and I'm going to change productivity to function, let's say. Okay. And so for editors, this is how you would do it. If you're at the editorial phase and you want to go through and put some edits, then you can select your track changes feature and then put your edits through there, as well as if you're a co-author, let's say. And this is an opportunity to, you can go through and track your changes. And then as I'm hovering there, you can see that it was me and when I did it. Okay, and then same thing, if you want to accept your change, you can go through and accept or delete the changes. Okay, and now let's go on to the notes feature. So that was the track changes feature. I'm just going to deselect that. Is there anybody who would like to try adding a note? I can walk you through how to do it. Okay, well, I'll do it myself then. So I'm just going to put my cursor in the doc. Oh, I do have a participant. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am just going to give you control. Okay, so now I've given you control. And what you need to do, so you should be able to move your mouse around. Very good. So if you go over to the outline pane, you see at the top there's a yellow sticky. So go over to the outline pane up there. So click on that. Okay, now you can put a note. You can say, I don't know, please edit, I've not had enough coffee today, something to that effect. So you can go ahead and type it in. There, I need more coffee. Perfect. Excellent. So when you're done that, you just hit close on the bottom right. Great. And now it's there. So you can see the notes appears, both parts. So what I'll do is I'm just going to take control back from you. Thank you very much. I think we should give some applause for the person who helped us out here. Excellent. Very good. Okay. So yes, and then all I do is I just hover over. I can hover over and the note should appear. Oops, I haven't see yet. There we go. Please edit. I need more coffee. I can open it up. Whoops. And then once I'm done addressing this note, I just have to hit delete. And there it is. Isn't that great? Thank you, Cochrane IMS. Okay, and we had a question at one point. Is there still a question? Okay, maybe we'll just wait there until we're just about done. I just want to talk about user details, and then we can address any questions. Okay, so that was that feature. So as you saw, my name appeared when either the track changes were done or I had added the note part was added. So if we go to Tools and Preferences, what you can do is if you're working on a computer, there's one computer that you're sort of working continuously on that you will always use for editing or working on your review. And what you can do is you can set this user profile, and that way whenever you create a note or the track changes is done, then that information will appear. So it's a great way to track who did what and when and that kind of thing. So that's how you set that up. Okay. And so how about I will pause now for questions. Are there any questions to this point? No. Okay. So let's move on. So I'm just going to bring up that main text part and go right down to the studies and references part. Okay. So I will show you first in the outline pane on the left-hand side, everything here. So for studies and references, you have references to your studies. So whether it's your included studies, so that's the pool of data that you're going to be including for your review. So those are the ones that meet your full inclusion criteria. You have your excluded studies, so those are the studies that were excluded at your full screen stage and beyond. And again, you put the reasons for that, for the exclusions, but we'll deal with that during session 2 at the table stage. You have your studies awaiting classification, so if you're waiting for information back from the author or you just can't go any further in terms of determining inclusion, then you can leave those there. And then obviously any ongoing trials that you're aware of, you can place in your ongoing study section. And then you have your other references here. You have additional references, which could be if you've made a reference to a publication or some sort of study in your, let's say, your background or your discussion. You can put that there. If you have other published versions of your review, then that's where you add the citation there. The classification pending references section, as you can see, it's grayed out, so it's not published when your review or protocol goes to the Cochrane Library, but it's a great place where you can, if you're going to do an import of all your references, that's where they recommend that you pull all your references into, and we'll get to that in just a moment. I do want to remind you that the unit of interest within your Cochrane review are studies, and through your selection process, you need to take the time to make sure you link multiple reports of one study together so that they're all included as one study ID. For reference, any of these studies that are in the references to studies section, those get study IDs, and in the other references section here, they get reference IDs, just to sort of be able to keep the two categories apart. Please refer to your style guide when you're doing references. Not as much of an issue when you're importing, but definitely if for some reason you have to do a manual entry, please make sure that you do know citation style and what they would like all Cochrane reviews to have when they're published to the Cochrane Library. The other thing you can do as well, if you do have multiple reports, you can indicate one as your primary reference, but we'll get to that in a minute. So let's move on to the demo. So in the included studies section, I've pre-populated 3 studies, and I've set that up so we can look at including data for meta-analysis in part 2. So I've pre-populated some, but there's one I want to add in today. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create your study IDs, how to do a manual entry if you need to. I'll do a sample import of references, and then we'll create links, and that will round out our session for today. Okay, so to add your study, I'm just going to scroll down. Sorry. There we go. So you just go here to the Add Study button. I'll just select that. And here's where you put your study ID. And generally this will be the last name of the first author and the publication year. So I will just add one here. Okay. And I will select Next. And this is where you choose from. Is it published data only? Are there published and published data that you found and will include for this particular study? Is it unpublished data only? Or is it unpublished data and unpublished was sought but not used? So I'm just going to select the first one and click Next. And then my year automatically appears because of when I had set it up in the first field. Okay. And then here, the add identifiers, you can add if there was a trial registry number, a Medline ID, or that kind of thing. You can add an identifier here. I'm not going to, and I'll just finish. Okay, so you see it here. So you see the study ID, but there's no citation. So I'm just going to open up this empty, and I just right-click and I select Edit Reference. And as you can see, it appears as a separate tab in the content pane. So it is a journal article that I'm going to add. So you can just put the authors. You can do this manually, and up to 6 in et al. Or whatever. But I'll just keep MKJ for now. And then I'll just start on to some title. Okay, and you get the sense. I'm not going to put everything in. Okay, so you can put the journal, the date of publication, etc. Okay, and the volume of the pages. So the fields that are needed show in bold, so you need to be able to complete those. If it's not a journal article and it's something else, so at the top, the reference type, I can just go through and I can select whatever it is. Okay. Now, I've added this information in, and all I need to do is just select this X at the top. I don't need to do a save or anything, and the information's there, as you can see in the preview part here. Okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to import this one. So I am just going to right-click this one and delete the reference for now. Okay, and I will just do a sample import. Just so you know, to talk a little bit about the importing stage, there are 3 formats that you can use to be able to create, and what you're doing is creating a text file. And what you need to do is save that text file to your computer somewhere on your hard drive before you actually import it. So the formats are, if you're going to PubMed and you're just looking for a citation of PubMed, and that's what I did today. I went and I found the citation on PubMed, and when I click the save file option, I selected the Medline format. So it was in the right format to be able to import. The other 2 are in relation to a reference software package that you may be using. So you can use the RIS format, which is a generic format that's supported by most software programs. The other one is a RevMan format, and you can go to the Cochrane IMS webpage and download the output style for that. But for today, I'm going to use the PubMed format. And again, it's a good idea to create your study IDs in advance. It's a great way if you've sort of mapped out all of your included studies, your literature, and you have a sense of what is from what study. If you set up your study IDs in advance, and then when you do one large import of all your references, then it's a great way to be able to organize everything, and you have everything mapped out. It should be easier for you. Okay. So I will do the import now. So I will go to File, Import References. Okay, and then the reference wizard pops up, so you just have to select Next. And here's the one, it's the empty one. Okay, so I'll select Open. And you can see how it previews in the Medline format. I'll just do a quick scroll down just so you get a sense of it. Okay. I'll select Next, and this is where you confirm your format. So there are your 3 format types, and I'll confirm that it's the PubMed Medline format. I will select Next, and at this stage I will go with what it defaults as. So this is the Classification Pending References section. I will select Next, and again it appears, so yes, I know what the destination is, and I will select Finish. And then the dialog box pops up that says I've imported a reference, so that's great. So I will go over to the outline pane, the Classification Pending References section. I'll just explode that, and you can see the citation. So there it is, it's appeared. So do know that this, again, this area, because it's grayed out, it's not published on the Cochrane Library. So if you have imported references, do make sure you make that extra check to ensure that they're moved around to the appropriate place. So all I have to do now is I can either do a cut paste or I can do a move. So I'm going to do a cut, and I just select up at the top, the M key. I will right click and I will select Add Reference. Okay. Oh, I should just hit Finish and it comes up. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to hit Paste. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Good and imported. So there you are. And then what I'll do is I'll open it up, and you see a preview on the right-hand side. And if it is the primary reference to study, then I can select that box. Simply exit out, and there we go. And now it appears with the asterisk, as you can see on the right-hand side on the content pane. Okay, how are we doing so far? Can I get some happy faces? Or maybe others if we're not so happy? All right, okay, excellent, great, perfect. Okay, then the last thing that I will do is I'll show you how to create a link. So I'm just going to scroll back up to where I had some text. Okay, so this is just my sample text. So all I just have to do is insert my cursor where I want it to go. And up at the top, there's a link button here. Up at the top right in your icons list. And I'll just select that. And then I just select my study. So I'm going to select MKey 1997. I'll select OK. And there we go. It appears as a hyperlink. Now this hyperlink isn't active now, but it will be when it's published at the Cochrane Library. And all you simply do is add your parentheses, add a space, and voila, there is your reference. Okay. Any questions to this point? Any questions at all? Okay. I'm just going to come back here for a second because I think I made a mistake. Look at that. Under the included studies, it shouldn't say MKey 1997. It should say MKey 2004. So all I have to do is select in the MKey field. So nice about RevMan 5. I just delete this out. And there we go. It's fixed. Excellent. Okay. Again, under the excluded studies, I've pre-populated one there as well. Okay, great. So before I close off the application sharing, I'll just pause for a moment if there are any questions. No? Okay, so just give me one moment. And I will stop the application sharing part, and we'll get the whiteboard again. Okay. Whoops. Sorry. I pulled up all my slides in here just in case I needed to refer to them. So just to finish off a bit, if you need more information, contact your review group, which will likely be your managing editor. You can also refer to the Cochrane IMS page, their RevMan page, if you need more information. I do want to acknowledge a number of folks who've taken the time to put together training materials from within the Cochrane collaboration, those being Liz Dooley, Veronica Pitt, and Elizabeth PNR. Elizabeth in particular was asked by the RevMan advisory group to put together materials which she very generously sent along to me, so thank you, Elizabeth, for having done that. I will show you the outline of part 2. So we're going to look at tables, data analyses, looking at figures, appendices, and then your final steps. Okay, it looks as though I made an error. Sorry about that, IMS. I'm just going to put, oops. I'm just going to put that in the, I'm sorry, I don't know why that happened, but I'm going to send that to everybody. I made a mistake on the URL. There you go, ims.cochrane.org. Thank you, and I will update that. Great. And also in conclusion, we're going to send you an evaluation form by email. We very much value your input. If you do have recommendations to make for this webinar, other topics you would like to see, how do you think this went, what did you think of the Illuminate interface, then that would be great. I would appreciate you doing that. We do have a couple of questions here. Can I ask one quick question? Yes. How do you insert the affiliation if you're a new author to Cochrane? So you need to talk to your managing editor about that. If you're a new person to Cochrane, then they will help you set up your contact details. And in fact, I have a quick start reference to Archie for authors if you're interested in that. And then the next time that you go to check out your reviewer protocol from Archie through RevMan 5, then your affiliation will appear. But you can also indicate to your managing editor what affiliation you'd like on the review. Does that answer your question? Okay, you're welcome. Okay, and the last few minutes, just a reminder to everyone that we have this pilot license within Canada, so please spread the word, forward this URL, make sure people are accessing it, yeah, make sure people are using the Cochrane Library. And I do want to make note that one of our project assistants has been working on the Impact project, and we've been getting some great stories of how people are using Cochrane in Canada. And you can refer to our website if you want to check out the top 3 stories. You can go there. So I do want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. Don't hesitate to drop me a line if you have any questions. And for most of you, we will see you in part 2. Have a great day. Thank you very much.